Welcome into DRF Daily, DRF Sports' betting live stream coming at you live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Today, we have a fantastic guest on. Matt Weyrich, a Nationals reporter for NBC Sports Washington, is jumping on, talking all things Nats with us, all things MLB. It's going to be fantastic. And later on, we're going to try and replicate a 3-in-1 day in our best bets, a fantastic bounce back. But first, welcoming in Matt Weyrich. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Jack. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you as well. Matt and I, college classmates, and then he went off to cover a big league team. How's covering the Nats treating you?
Yeah, the season might not be super pretty in terms of wins and losses, but I grew up covering this team, watching this team. The Nationals have been a big part of my life for a long time, so it's really it's a dream come true to be able to be there, on a consistent basis, talk to the players, talk to the coaches, and just watch this team every day and get paid for it. So can't complain.
Yeah, fantastic answer. The Nationals, I think we'll just kind of jump right into everything going on with the Nats this season. They're 25-46. They're 29-42 against the spread. Not great stuff going down for them. They've lost 11 of their last 15, if I'm not mistaken. So a little bit of a losing streak. What's happening with the Nationals? 2019, they win the World Series and COVID hits. 2021 wasn't kind to them, and it looks like this season won't be kind to them either.
No, yeah, they entered play yesterday with the worst record in the National League. Certainly, they didn't have high expectations coming into this season, especially after the trade deadline last year when they traded 8 veterans away, including Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, in a big fire sale of epic proportions, really, for the Nationals, a team that had been competing for championships pretty much every year since 2012. Now they're kind of got to focus on youth development. The Nationals won't go as far to call it a rebuild. They don't want it to be a lengthy, restructuring process, but their farm system was really depleted. They really hadn't been, they had been hit hard by injuries in 2021 and didn't have the depth to make up for it. So now their plan is to, theoretically get back to contention before Juan Soto hits free agency once again. He's got 2.5 years left of team control. So it's all about Soto. They want to extend him to a long-term deal. Whether or not he's willing to do that with agent Scott Boras remains to be seen, but certainly that is their number one priority.
So you mentioned Juan Soto, 2.5 years under team control. That was actually one of my questions because I want to jump into Juan Soto before we really dive into more of the Nats. And this is just for my own personal knowledge. I don't know how much this has to do with betting the Nationals and, sports betting as a whole, but they offered him what seemed like a massive contract over this offseason. He turned it down. They still control him for 2.5 years. What are the odds he is suiting up with the Nats in 3 years from now?
I do think that the Nationals are going to make a sizable offer. Now, there's a big wild card here in that the team is currently being considered to be sold.
Yeah.
So we may be seeing new ownership coming in the next 12 months here. And I don't really expect the team to sign him to an extension before that. If you're Soto, do you really want to attach yourself to an organization where you don't know who's going to be cutting your paychecks for the next 10 plus years? Probably not. You'll want to wait and see who that guy who comes in, what that group looks like, and what their commitment to winning is, because that's the most important goal, at least from what Soto has stated in terms of his next team, is winning. So, once that new ownership group comes in, I think they're going to be motivated to sign Soto to an extension. I mean, you don't want to, come in as a new ownership group and disenfranchise yourself from the fan base by immediately letting your star player, future Hall of Famer, walk. This is going to be a huge goal for that new ownership group, and something that they can kind of immediately attach their legacy is signing Soto to a long-term deal. So it's going to be pricey. They offered reportedly a $350 million contract to him last offseason. That was declined, and it kind of made sense. He's still due to make about 60-70 million over these next 3 seasons. So, you take that 70 million out of it, a $280 million contract over 12 years, that's really not market price for Juan Soto. I think we need to be looking more to the 400, 450, maybe even 500 million dollar range for a player of this caliber. I know it's crazy to say,
so
but Soto, he's so good, and he's really has the perfect storm of just being so young. He's going to be just like Bryce Harper, hitting free agency at 26, which is pretty much the youngest you can do it. So he's going to be able to maximize his value in the highest degree. And if the Nationals want to keep him, they're not going to get a hometown discount.
That's so much money.
Yeah.
Isn't Monumental Sports Group being rumored to be one of the lead bidders in it? And they're the ones that own the, correct me if I'm
Wizards and the
wrong.
Caps
Okay, yeah. And the Mystics. Don't forget about
and the
the
Mystics,
Mystics.
of course,
Come
of
on, man.
course. 2019
Um,
champs, baby.
yeah, they also have gone downhill just like the Nationals since winning that championship. So back to the field, off the field stuff. That was just for my own personal thing with Juan Soto, because I'm always interested if after Bryce Harper spurned the Nats, as a fair weather Nats fan, that hurt me. Betting the Nationals this season has been rough. They haven't covered, they haven't won a lot. Tonight they play the Orioles as, I think, plus 130 dogs. Is there any value to betting the Nationals? Is there a pitcher to watch out for? If he starts, you should bet them. You should fade them at all other times. What's the strategy with the Nationals, from a betting perspective, or even just from a watching perspective? Maybe there's a time when, they're worth watching compared to a time when they're worth maybe watching whatever the National League televised game is that's in your market.
Yeah, I think that, the Nationals don't have a lot of come from behind wins this year. So if they are trailing going into the sixth inning and you see a juicy money line on a live bet, I really wouldn't recommend jumping on top of that, just because they haven't been a team that's really been rallying from behind very much. So when they're behind in the later innings, they tend to lose those games. One player to keep an eye on, Josiah Gray, has been on a really nice run for them his last four starts. Sub-2 ERA, has been racking up some strikeouts, and he's a big part of their future. They acquired him in that Trey Turner, Max Scherzer deal with the Dodgers last year. And like I said, he's been on a nice little run here. So the Nationals, I believe he has the highest winning percentage of any pitcher in terms of just the team's overall record during his starts. He went through a couple of rough patches there in the middle of the season, and that's why his ERA is a bit bloated at the moment. But it is on the way down right now. I believe it's at 4.00 or around there right now. So the Nationals are very excited about what he brings to the table, and certainly they've been winning a lot of games in which he's been starting. So I would definitely keep an eye out for him. And then player props, guys to keep an eye on right now: two young players, Keibert Ruiz and Luis Garcia, two young players, a catcher and a shortstop, who the Nationals have high hopes for as also being part of their futures. They have both been hitting very well, collecting hits and bunches. Really, they've both been good about getting multi-hit games. So a 2+ total base prop, I like that a lot, because they kind of both have doubles power. So when they are getting hits, they tend to be more doubles than necessarily singles. So I like both of those guys as far as future pieces, but also just guys who are contributing right now.
Love it. Keeping with the props market, we mentioned off air futures market. Give me some plays for MLB futures, and what are they?
Some plays for MLB futures. Yeah, I got your website up right now. I think that right now the Dodgers are pretty much, in my mind, locks to win the NL West. They're minus 250, so it's not great value there. I do kind of like the Padres at plus 275 because they are right there. But the Giants at plus 700 is enticing to me because they're really not that far back in the division. 3.5 games, certainly a distance that they can make up. And people forget they are the team that won the NL West last year. So that kind of value right there, if you're looking for really good value, I think that really stands out to me. And then over on the NL East, of course, which I watch all the time, the Braves are plus 200 behind the Mets. And I know that the Mets have just kind of been the best team in the National League to this point, but they are the Mets, and they tend to do this thing where they get off to nice starts and then they collapse down the stretch. And last year we were looking at a very similar situation, and I was going on some betting shows and saying, look at the Braves, they might be able to do this. And ultimately they did. And they've been doing it for a long time. They're obviously the defending World Series champs. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back. They're really starting to hit their stride. They had a 14-game winning streak not too long ago, which is also part of the reason why the Nats have lost so many games in recent play, because they were playing the Braves, unfortunately for them. And the Braves were just collecting wins left and right. So I think that the Braves, they were my preseason pick to win the division. And I still think that they're going to eventually pass the Mets and win that title.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Giants too, because like you said, a lot of value on them, and they're playing a little bit below of what their potential is compared to last season. And if they just kind of figure just a few things out, a little bit better situational hitting, I think they can make a huge jump up over there and at plus 700. Love those odds. Is there a team that has just terrible value to win the World Series or to win their division? I feel like the Yankees might be it, but maybe I'm just a little biased in that.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees at minus 1,000, I don't even know if it's really worth taking. I think that they've been clearly the best team in baseball to this point. They've really jumped out to a big lead there in that AL East, which we were really expecting to be a really tight division. And I think that, these other teams in the division, I mean, it's a really talented division for sure. Even the Red Sox, who are in fourth place right now, have been on a nice little run recently. I think that one of these teams will probably make it a little bit closer than it is right now, but probably the Yankees. Just the way they're built right now, this pitching staff has been absolutely unreal. They have the AL MVP favorite most likely in Aaron Judge, although Jose Ramirez of the Guardians is certainly making a strong case as well. So I wouldn't. You could take the Yankees at minus 1,000. It's just not going to bring you back very much. The same could be said for the Astros over in the AL West. I was a bit of a believer in the Mariners coming into the year. I felt like they were going to really challenge for them, and the Angels looked like a good team early on, but then really hit a wall. And it's just been the Astros all day. The Astros, who have made the World Series or ALCS in like 5 straight years, they've just been really a Warriors-esque dynasty over in the American League for the last half decade. And I don't think there's any reason why to doubt them right now.
Hey, don't disrespect the Mariners. As a Seahawks fan, I have to have blind loyalty to all Seattle sports. I think they'll turn it around. I think George Kirby's an okay pitch. I think he's their pitcher. I barely even I follow along. I'm East Coast bias 100% when it comes to baseball. I don't really stay up for those 10 p.m. first pitches. So as of right now, I'm going to put you on the spot. World Series. Who's playing in the World Series when it comes to that time?
Well, my preseason pick was Dodgers over Mariners. So
you were a big Mariners believer.
I know.
Wow. Even I wasn't that big, and I'm blind.
They really came on strong in the second half last year. They barely missed the playoffs. They go out and trade for Robbie Ray, Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez. I really like the moves they made this offseason. So I felt like, they were finishing pieces. They were going to surprise everybody. I like to make, a little bit surprise pick, not, take a break from the monotony. But of course, I picked the Dodgers to win it all, who were like the big favorites coming in the year. So how much really was I doing it? But I think I'll stick with the Dodgers for right now. They aren't playing super well lately. Their pitching staff has been really banged up this year. But I think that that offense, man, when they are clicking, and obviously they just lost Mookie Betts for an extended amount of time with a rib injury, so that's certainly going to hurt. But when they are at their best, I mean, having Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy and Justin Turner and Trey Turner and of course Seager's gone. But I mean, just all the names that are in that lineup, when they are in a playoff series, I'm going to have a very hard time betting against them. I think that they are just too talented top to bottom. And, it's crazy that they've been so good for so long and only won one Mickey Mouse World Series. So, I think they really need to win an actual World Series, if you ask me, to kind of cement their legacy as one of the best teams in baseball since 2000.
Yeah, and their rotation is dirty. Like every part of the Dodgers are just dirt, just nasty. So do you call it, is the Lakers championship a Mickey Mouse championship even more so than to you?
I would say the Dodgers is probably the most Mickey Mouse if I have to classify it, just because they only had to play 60 games to make the playoffs. And it was an expanded playoffs. They had to win more playoff games to get there, which I get. And that 60 game sprint, a lot of players have talked about how that felt longer than an actual full 162 game season because of all the COVID restrictions and like getting tested like 6 times a day and not being able to see your families and all that kind of stuff. Like I get it. That was probably very exhausting for players, but only having to win 60 games to make the playoffs, to me, that just kind of devalues it. Where the Lakers, like, they had to play, I think it was 70% of the season. They had the bubble, to get in and everything. And I don't know. It is different when you're playing in a bubble as opposed to like with fans and the atmosphere. I mean, basketball especially, probably more than any other sport, just because it's a closed arena and the sound is insane that you have to deal with. But I would say both are probably still kind of in that realm. Whereas like the Tampa Bay Lightning, they won kind of a Mickey Mouse championship, and then they won 2 more. So they, or are they going for the third this year? They're going for the third this year, right? I don't know.
They're dominant. I can tell you dominant. That. I think they're going for 3. They're going for 3. It doesn't matter. They're not going to win it. The Avalanche are going to win
Avalanche,
it.
Go Avs, man. Come on. You can't not root for the Avs.
They were my team. Did you ever play the like NHL, not NHL Blitz, but like it was like a 3-on-3 super fast-paced NHL game on the GameCube? For some reason,
Oh,
I picked the
probably.
Avs when I was 6 playing it, and it was like Joe Sakic and like Chris Drury or something like that.
There you
And I was
go.
just like, this is my team now. Have not followed along with the NHL since
You
that
mean the
time, but
Kraken aren't your team?
oh no, they are. I now have a Kraken crew neck. It is
They
they're
got good colors.
they have a fantastic logo. They have everything except their on ice product is
Yep.
absolutely abysmal, much like the Mariners and the Nationals. So thank you so much for joining us, Matt, today as we end out on pooping on the Kraken. Where can people find you? Where's your work held? All of that good stuff. Any plug you have, feel free to plug it away.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at by Matt Weyrich, where it's mostly national stuff, but the occasional, MLB and random things about my life. So feel free to give me a follow over there if you care about any of that. And my work's over at NBC Sports Washington.com, where I cover the Nationals and other DC sports for NBC Sports Washington. So definitely go ahead on over there and give a few of my articles some clicks. I'll definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll be watching the Dodgers win the World Series, and I'll see the Mariners have a second half resurgence and make the World Series as well.
They'll make me look smart.
Yeah, exactly. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you again so much to Matt for coming on. Fantastic insights on the MLB, everything like that. Just awesome stuff altogether. And now we're going to move into our free game of the day. Avalanche taking on the Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 4. Avalanche minus 115. They're taking on the Lightning at minus 105. Avalanche hold a 2-1 series lead. Lightning picked up that decisive Game 3 win by a score of 6-2, which made me look really dumb because I was all over Colorado in that game. Not only Colorado to win, but also I parlayed it with under 6 goals. Lightning hit the over them set, or I guess they got the push themselves. Avalanche tacked on 2. So the over hit and the Lightning won. So a terrible, terrible day for me there. But moving into Game 4, I'm going to be dumb again, and I'm going to pick the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche have it in them. The line has moved to minus 110 each over the last hour. So now both teams, it's an even draw. Minus 110 for the Avalanche, minus 110 for the Lightning. The over-under is set at 6. It is worth noting that every single one of these games so far in this series have gone over 6 goals. So maybe the over's the play. I'm still leaning the under. I just think eventually there'll be a 2-1, 3-1 type of game. And I think this might be it. We're on Tampa's home ice. The Avalanche are 7-1 straight up on the road this playoffs. That one loss came in Game 3. Last game, Tampa Bay Lightning have won, I believe, 7 straight home games. They're now 8-1 straight up at home on home ice. So that's a big one. However, the Avalanche have rebounded really well under coach Jared Bednar. They are 16-5 against the spread when they are revenging a blowout road loss. And that's exactly what happened last game. They lost by 4. And now they're coming into this game trying to revenge that. Give me the Avalanche. I think they take a 3-1 series lead. And not only that, I think they return to their home ice and win this series. So Avalanche minus 110 right now. I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to parlay that with the under 6 goals. I'm just going Avalanche minus 110 here, but I'm leaning the under 6. Just thought I'd mention that. So thank you so much for everyone for tuning into DRF Daily. Thank you again to Matt Weyrich at by BY. Matt Weyrich is on Twitter. You can find all of his stuff on NBC Sports Washington, dropping amazing nuggets on the Nationals, some MLB stuff. Just a fantastic insights from him. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern with some more MLB picks. Friday, we have on Max Sacco to break down some Premier Lacrosse League stuff, some PLL Week 4. He'll have all the insights if you go to drf.com/sports. You can find all of our expert insights. We have the Travelers Championship up. Max Sacco also wrote an NHL preview. His PLL Week 4 preview will be coming up later today, so go on over to drf.com/sports to stay up to date with all of our exclusive betting angles, trends, line movements, and expert insights. You can follow us on Twitter at DRF_sports. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well so you never miss a single video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until Thursday, 11 a.m., same time, same place. Have a wonderful rest of your day.